The bear hesitantly approached the woman. With its head low, it patiently observed her as she drove her hand shovel into the ground, displacing dirt and weeds, oblivious to her surroundings. Planting one more oak tree before checking out for the day and heading back to her campsite. She smiled with satisfaction, acknowledging a day's hard work she once again invested into, as she saw it, the well-being of the earth and everything in it. Taking another step toward the distracted young woman, the bear slowed to a stop, raising its snout into the air, catching a scent of her organic body lotion, with a hint of burnt skin from the Alberta's midsummer blistering sun. "Oh, hello." Cynthia caught at the corner of her eye the approaching creature. She slowly stood up, brushing the dirt on her hands on her thighs, whispering gently but sternly to the bear. "How can I help you?" she breathed to the menacing creature. "I've never seen something like you so up close before." The creature felt emboldened by the woman's pleasant and non-threatening reaction, and took another few slight steps toward her. "You're beautiful," Cynthia whispered.
What's up, guys? Iceman here.
So this story is about a young, pleasant woman who met a very unfortunate demise from a bear. This story is horrifying, and it pains me to bring it out to you guys. But again, I think it's important to make these videos because it helps us gain perspective on the risks that are out there, especially in bear country, and it very well could save lives listening to such stories and contemplating such things. But if you guys will, I'd appreciate it if you like this video, subscribe to the page and hit the bell so you're notified next time I post a video, and become a channel member or a patron if you want to support me further. Links in the description below. So let's get into this chilling tale. Cynthia was a young, vibrant woman with her whole life ahead of her. She studied helicopter engineering at Penn State University, as she thought such machines were vital for human rescue, and, unlike her other girlfriends, found an interest in mathematics and science. She had an unbending love for animals, and at 26 years old, Cynthia wasn't quite ready to settle down just yet with Mr. Wright. After the incident, investigators rummaged through her phone and found hundreds of messages from young men on her Tinder account. Many knew her, and her sparkling personality would be sorely missed. All the more reason as to why it was such a shame that her screams weren't heard sooner. Black bears are one of the most common species of bears found in North America, including in Alberta, Canada. These bears are known for their distinctive black fur, although some individuals may have brown or blonde coloring as well. They are omnivores, meaning they eat both plants and animals, and their diet can include everything from berries and roots to insects, small mammals, and even carrion. In Alberta, black bears are found in a variety of habitats, including forested areas, mountains, and grasslands. They are active during the day and night, with peak activity occurring in the early morning and late evening. Black bears are also excellent climbers and swimmers. They may use these skills to forage for food and escape from predators. While black bears are generally not aggressive toward humans, they can become dangerous if they feel threatened or if their cubs are in danger. It is important to practice caution and avoid approaching black bears or attempting to feed them, as this can lead to dangerous situations for both humans and bears. Alberta has strict regulations in place to protect black bears and their habitat, and visitors to the area should take care to respect these regulations and follow proper wildlife viewing guidelines, partly due to their own safety. Cynthia had taken the summer off to help replant trees in logged areas throughout Canada. Her love for the earth eclipsed her love for the animals, as well as her friends and family. Logging is a significant industry in Alberta, Canada. The province has large areas of forested land, and the logging industry plays an important role in the economy. The forestry sector in Alberta employs thousands of people and generates billions of dollars in revenue each year. The logging process involves cutting down trees and transporting them to sawmills or other processing facilities, where they are turned into lumber, paper, or other wood products. Alberta has strict regulations in place to ensure that logging practices are sustainable and do not cause undue harm to the environment or wildlife. Cynthia clenched her hand shovel tightly as the bear approached her. Taking a few steps back, she had no choice but to verbally assault the bear. "Get away! Shoo!" she yelled. It hesitated for only a moment, but continued toward her. "Get out of here!" she screeched, a bit more boldly this time. The bear was determined to continue its pursuit. It lurched at her, taking a quick swipe at her shin, exposing its sharp black claws, scraping into her leg, causing an instant bleeding gash. It jerked back as she reacted. She didn't quite scream just yet, but the wound was deep and infectious. She took a few more steps back, and the creature quickly pursued her again, this time with more confidence. "Get away, damn it!" she shouted at it. The bear stood on its hind legs and lunged at her, tackling her to the ground, and began viciously mauling her. She jabbed the hand shovel into the beast's side, only to irritate it even more as it clenched its jaws around her wrist, and she dropped the tool, screaming in agony. A few members from her environmental group heard the commotion and dropped what they were doing and dashed to the horrific scene. Cynthia was then seen at the edge of the woods, Black Bear on top of her, digging into her helpless body. "Get off her!" one of the members yelled as he grabbed a large stick and began approaching the devastating scene. The bear, in an attempt to protect its newly caught prey, gave out a low bellow, which startled the witnesses and caused them all to hesitate in their pursuit. The creature then grabbed Cynthia by the neck and lifted her up with ease and began dragging her away, nearly running with the young woman's bloodied legs and body dragging behind. 3 of the members chased the animal, each armed with a tool or stick as weaponry. The bear dropped the corpse and dashed into the wilderness, as it must have considered itself outnumbered and didn't want to risk an injury. Cynthia still had a pulse, but was unconscious and bleeding profusely. The poor woman was airlifted for medical attention, but was declared dead at the airport before she could reach the hospital. Fish and wildlife officers began investigating. A trail camera and traps were placed in the area of the horrific attack. Soon after, 3 black bears were located by wildlife officials nearby and taken in for testing. It was revealed through DNA testing and bear scat samples that the attacking bear was indeed one of the 3 caught, a female who had no cubs. The bear was euthanized, and many public warning signs were put up throughout the region. Jeez, what do you guys think about that story? I really pity this poor young woman, how educated she was and how helpful she could have been to the world in those ways. And just to think how much life she still had yet to live if it weren't for this unfortunate event. What's interesting to me is how bears, or black bears more specifically, seem to be very testy with their victims before they fully commit. I've observed this through many TikTok and YouTube videos of people just basically taping their encounters with bears. I can recall more than one video where the bear kind of sneaks up to someone, the person just standing there watching it, not moving, not acting threatening at all, and the bear kind of reaches out with its paw, swats them, and then pulls back to see how the person reacts. It's like they want to see if the person is weak enough to be an easy meal, perhaps. In one occurrence, I recall a girl who was wearing shorts, and the bear swatted her like that, and it drew some blood on her leg, and the bear pulled back, and she was actually in a small group. There was like a guy right alongside her. And I don't know if the guy was her boyfriend or her hubby or what, but it was kind of startling to see how non-reactive both of them were to the situation. It's like they thought, for whatever reason, that that was the best form of defense. But it certainly didn't seem to be the case from what I've observed, as the bear approached them again and took another swat. Fortunately, it was a relatively small black bear, probably a curious one who wasn't willing to risk too much. So I think that situation, or the danger of it anyway, fizzled out. Also, what's interesting is apparently pepper spray is illegal throughout Canada, unless if it's specifically intended to be used on animals, and it like has that on the can and stuff. So I would guess that what comes along with that is far less production and distribution of pepper spray in Canada, because in other countries where it's legal, people carry it on their person as a form of self-defense against both animals and humans. So if you outlaw something like that against humans, of course, it's going to be distributed and made far less throughout the region. So the stuff is really expensive. And as far as I know, Cynthia didn't have any on her person, and that very well could have deterred the bear. But as most of us know, the best form of defense in bear country are several forms of defense. And I certainly wouldn't be out there without a hand cannon myself. But I mean, those are basically illegal in Canada, aren't they? So she'd probably have to use a stick or something, even though if you use a stick in Canada as self-defense, don't you go to jail for that? So I don't know. It probably would have been worth it though, just trying to fight the bear, even if she was going to get like 10 years in prison or something for it. But nonetheless, I mean, this just really sucks, and it's tough reading about these situations. I just feel bad for the victims. And there are just so many variables involved in terms of why something like this occurred, as far as I see it. A lot of these folks who are fresh out of college probably see wildlife in a slightly different light than those who are more weathered in such things, because they are just basically taught that humans are evil and all the animals are nice, and animals never do anything naughty or unexpected. And it's always for a reason, you know, like it's always either a mother bear protecting its cubs, or the bear is freaking starving because man destroyed all the resources so the bear couldn't eat, so it had to eat somewhere or someone. It just seems like that's the general narrative that these come out of those indoctrination camps thinking. I could be wrong, and I'd like your input in the comments below if you guys care to share. But what's really interesting to note about this situation is that this was a sow black bear who didn't even have any cubs, which is really unusual as far as I know it. But I mean, it might have just been taking on the opportunity. It saw this relatively small in stature woman, and it decided to risk it for a quick, easy meal. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think. What could have been done to prevent this encounter? And why do you think the bear attacked Cynthia? Comment below your thoughts on these matters, and like this video if you will, and subscribe to the page for more chilling tales from the Iceman.